This week, quarterbacking in the NFL, week 3. RIP to the greatest Phoenix Sun ever. Some hot recommendations of the week. And we learn and talk about South Philly with Little League World Series legend Monet Davis. Enjoy the podcast.
This episode of One Star Recruits is brought to you by 500level.com, the best Philadelphia athlete shirts on the internet. Paul George 76er shirts, Dallas Goedert for the Eagles, 170 yards this weekend. Kyle Schwarber hitting bombs for the Phillies. All their shirts can be found on 500level.com. Use the discount code DK and RIP at checkout for 20% off everything on the site. That's DKANDRIP. 500level.com. Let's go!
This is Monet Davis. I'm on with the One Star Recruit podcast. Make sure you guys tune in and go Birds.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the podcast. Rip, how are you doing, sir?
I'm happy, man. I'm 2-1 in fantasy football. Got my one league, 20th annual league. I'm 2-1. My guy Jaden Daniels came through last night. So I'm on cloud 9 right now, man.
This is your week. This is your 3-day upcoming weekend for Arizona Diamondbacks headed to the playoffs. Congratulations. But I saw this yesterday when I was watching the Diamondbacks Giants game. It was, of course, behind the batter. Just like we talked about with Monet. I saw it on the advertising scroll. Well, I don't even know what word that was. On the advertising roll. What do you call it? The advertising board? What do you call that, Rip? You're in sales and marketing. What is that behind?
The scroll. The scroll.
It's a funny word, the scroll. It seems like a Game of Thrones word, not a 2024. Anyway, the scroll came up and got my attention. 43 years old, Rip. This is going to get you at 53 years old too, bro. Guess what's coming up this weekend? You don't want to miss it. Players Tea Weekend, Rip. They're doing it. It's begun. We've talked about this for years. No more jerseys. Nobody wants to do polo shirts unless you're a Tennessee Vols fan, or polo shirts taking over all of college football. What a market that they somehow, let's go for college football. And they did it. Polo shirts. Congratulations. Bow down. Nevertheless, back to jersey tees. Player tees, as they're calling them in Arizona. We got Friday, McCarthy. Saturday, Marte. And then bringing it home with a Perdomo shirt. Rip, how excited is that? This was your original idea. You had this idea about 13 years ago, and you lived by it. You only owned jersey shirts for many years.
I love jersey shirts. I'm the number one fan. Anyone over 22, 23 years old should not really be wearing actual jerseys anymore unless you're playing in the game. But jersey shirts are a great solution for us 40-year-olds trying to still rep our teams. But first things first, DK, I don't know what kind of jinx you're trying to put on the Diamondbacks. It's going to be a great jersey weekend, fan appreciation weekend, but they're dangerously close to blowing the wild card lead. They are absolutely not in the playoffs yet. We got 7 more days, so I hope you didn't just jinx them there.
No jinx. If any jinx happened, it was by the president talking about the new stadium today in a press conference. And today is obviously the day before the pod comes out. Rip, I don't have to explain that, whatever. But drama in Arizona about the Diamondbacks getting a new deal between Maricopa County and the D-backs. The time has come. The AC system in that building that they play in is so effed. Rip, do you know? Is this all new news? Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I know Chase Field's over 20 years old now. It's due for some upgrades. So there's always controversy and negotiations coming down at about this point in time.
Oh, it hit ahead today. It hit ahead, bro. So money talks in all these situations. Maricopa County's looking for roughly $200 million. Then add on the election coming up locally. Local elections, very important. If you live in that area, dig deeper into this issue because a new stadium use proposal will be on that ballot, and it'll be a huge talking point in that district coming up because something needs to be done with that particular building. Like, the time has come, but we got some proposed changes to the stadium. Kind of interesting, Rip. Curious to get your takes on them right off the bat. And also the good news, you mentioned it, Rip. Keep winning, and knock on wood here that they can get into that playoffs because dangerous playoff team. We know the bats are good and the starting pitching is pretty good. So couple proposed changes though, bro, to the stadium. First one that jumped out at me, which makes sense. A lot of baseball games. This was a big era when you built big buildings for Barry Bonds, coming to your city. Lower capacity to 36K. Currently, capacity is closer to 50K. What do you think of that, Rip?
Probably the modern way of doing things. I know the Oakland A's stadium, the Las Vegas A's stadium is going to be right around that size. Let's see. Scarcity brings in people and brings up value. That's kind of the rule these days.
Nice. Economics. Here it comes. Inelastic building from my pod host, Rip here. Create more seating areas on all levels. So always a good thing. Here's where it gets a little bit interesting, though. Add hybrid hotels plus sitting restaurants, food courts on upper decks, and more activations like arcades, is what the article said. VR, sports betting, club bar areas that have, a footprint that kind of already inherited. Kind of like we've talked about with a lot of these athletic directors, to be honest with you, Rich. Monetizing areas of these buildings that could be monetized. You had such a genius one with Ren Baker in West Virginia a couple months ago when you said that they should do a secret lounge like Disneyland when you get in a little coal cart, not cheesy, but classy. You take it down. Dude, the best restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants I've ever been to in my life is in Santa Cruz, California. And it's probably an 8 out of 10 restaurant for food. It is a 10 out of 10 experience for one reason alone. And it's that when you arrive to this spot, you get on like a little cart and it takes you from the parking area down to the restaurant and you feel like you're in a whole new fucking world. Rip, do you know this restaurant? You're kind of a South Bay guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember the name of it.
In-N-Out?
You're an asshole. Winston, can you look up the restaurant in Santa Cruz, California that has, yes, maybe Aptos, one of those areas, coastal Cali. Anyway, Rip, back to D-back Stadium. Jumped out at me more than anything else of all of that was the hybrid hotel section. We've only seen that done in Toronto back in the day. Does that mean suites or condos in the building, or is that like Glendale when it's connected to a Fairfield Inn and a courtyard? You can get your Marriott points when you go stay at a game. Some of it gets shaky as you read. It starts nice and chill, right, Rip? Take it down to 36K, and then it starts to get a little shaky, but kind of in a good way. Food courts on all upper decks. Dude, I just went to a food court in Costa Mesa, California a couple weeks ago. That is it's a Hispanic one. It's Northgate Markets. I'm not sure the one that's on Harbor Avenue now in Costa Mesa. If they were able to kind of recreate that type of vibe in a baseball stadium in Arizona, it would be a grand slam. There's a partnership waiting to happen. Easy turnaround. You start talking hotels and sitting restaurants, I think we might be going the wrong direction. Like the TGIF Friday bar and days are over. I think the pool's hanging on for dear life. That could have a better use of space right there. It's kind of chill because it's Arizona. It makes sense. But things are changing, Rip. Any of those you like? You down with the hybrid hotel idea? Does that interest you?
Seems a little too much, kind of like you said. I'm more of keep it simple. My 6-year-old just went to SoFi Stadium in a Rams game, and he'll remember it for the rest of his life because he had all you can eat candy in a VIP lounge. That's all you need for the kids. All you can eat candy, and for adults, probably all you can drink beer and keep everyone happy. Add $10 to the price of each ticket. And let me throw one more thing in there. Hire Monet Davis in a front office role in Arizona, DK. Beat everyone else to the punch because it's coming soon. A recent alumni of Columbia University's graduate sports management program. Let's make a groundbreaking move in Arizona, DK. That's all there is to it. We got to make it happen.
She's smart. She's going to do big things. Ownership in Philly. Enjoy this interview with Little League World Series icon and a woman who has a vision to bring pro women's sports to Philadelphia. Monet Davis.
Now joining the One Star Recruits podcast, we have a native of South Philadelphia, a master's candidate in the sports management program at Columbia University, and the first female to win a game as a pitcher in the Little League World Series. Baseball legend and Philly legend, Monet Davis is on with the One Star Recruits. Thanks for hopping on, Monet.
Of course, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us. Let's start with a life update. Are you still at Columbia working on your master's? What's a day like for you in September 2024?
So actually, I was able to finish my program through the summer, so I'm actually done. So got my
Congrats.
master's. So right now, just living life, taking a little break before hopping into anything, just because I've been going just nonstop for 10 years. So being able to take a break before hopping into the real world, because I always hear it's harder once you start working to find that break. So taking the break now and figuring out what exactly I want to do, to make sure that I'm choosing the right path that is I'm gonna have fun with every day and not feel like I'm, working. Feels like I'm just, being able to be myself and enjoying what I do every day.
All right, idea alert. Middle name, IKEA. Could be pronouncing it wrong here. Possible name, image, likeness deal with IKEA to wrap up your master's program.
Honestly, that would be fire because I'm looking to get a place by New Year's. And I actually just passed an IKEA on the way here, which is pretty cool. And I always talk about how like that store is just so fun because it's not packed at all times. And there's so much to do in there, so much to look at. You get so many inspiration for your room, for your house. So I love it. It's spelled the same way, it's pronounced the same way. I think it'll be perfect.
Let's go. But 5 out of 5, Winston. Genius idea. That could be I mean, why not? We could get a menu item. Maybe you could design a room. That would be
That'd be
cool.
fired. Let's
That'd be
do it.
cool. Overall deal for IKEA. Have athletes come in and design rooms, and then people come in those
Hmm.
markets and visit them. Nice. All
Design
right.
dorm
Cool.
rooms. Yeah. Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be
Let's
cool.
go. Let's talk baseball for a minute. You did an interview with LA Times. It was pretty good, and you wanted to make sure that Little League wasn't the peak of your life, and you did. You got with the Dodgers. You did an internship
Hmm.
with them. You went to some of the best schools in the world, including Columbia, where you are now. What direction are you leaning now? We're laughing, we're talking NIL deals to wrap up, but real life, like which direction are you leaning now that here we are? And a lot of people are in
Uh,
the same situation.
so right now I'm just trying to enjoy just spending time with my friends, like the time that I missed when we were younger, from me being able to go to different parts of the country, do different interviews. So kind of making up that time. I got to see them here in Philly for the Eagles game, got to hang out with them, which is pretty cool. But just trying to figure out different things to do. A lot of my friends have told me that I should start vlogging on YouTube because I'm always all over the place and people like to see things like that, like to see the lifestyle that people live. So maybe start that and then eventually just putting myself on a path to own a team, to be part of a WNBA franchise in Philly and NWSL franchise in Philly. So that's the ultimate goal, and just kind of taking small steps to put me in that position.
I love that. Philly would be such a great W team. Playoffs are about to start. Who you
Yeah.
like? Who you like in the W for the
Um.
championship?
So I've been a fan of the Aces. I like more so the how players are off the court rather than on the court. Obviously on the court is huge, but I think the Aces are just a team that they just like having fun. Like you can tell they genuinely like playing for each other, they like playing for the organization. Becky Heyman being their coach, like her coming in first 2 years winning a championship, like that's you don't see that very often. So I'm a big fan of the Aces, and I've been a big fan of Sabrina Ionescu for some years now since she was at Oregon. I just love her game. I love how fluid she is and just how she's able to incorporate her teammates. I got to watch her play twice this year, and first time she was on fire, so they were feeding her the ball. And then the last time she couldn't really hit a shot, but she was still getting her teammates involved, which I'm a big fan of, especially when I played point guard. I was the exact same way. So those two, with the Liberty, the Aces, I could definitely see another rematch coming. I would love for Sabrina to get her ring, but with the season that Aja Wilson's having, I feel like she has to just get that ring to top it off.
Listeners, Mo knows what she's talking about. You were thinking about going to UConn too.
Yeah,
I remember reading. You think you can D up Sabrina right now? You lace them up. You
I'll
locking
be
her down?
honest. I was never a huge defender. Hated defense, but I think I could do a little something to like slow her down a little bit. She's a little stronger than me for sure, but I think I could do a little something if I really lock in, get a couple workouts in. I think I could do something.
Okay, okay. I might have to get that going. Where you going from 3 out of 10? You going 8 for 10 from three?
Nah, I haven't shot in so long. I probably say if I'm on fire, give me like 6. I'll take like 6 for now. And
Love
then
it.
after a while, I think we could build up from there.
Let's go. Let's go. So you did a little LA gig, which was super cool. Love it that the Dodgers opened that up and you're able to spend some time in LA. Let's talk about Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Shohei created the 50-50 club this season, which is 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. All right, Mo, can you explain this in particular to maybe people like my mom? Hey, mom, who don't really get this, what's going on here? Can you explain what this means to you and just put it in context here a little bit for our listeners?
Yeah, so one thing people don't understand is how hard of a sport baseball is. Like you have to hit a ball nowadays, a ball coming 100 plus miles an hour at you from such a close distance, and you literally don't even have a full second to think about if you're going to swing or not. And if people don't know who Shohei is, he's a two-way player. I think he got Tommy John, so he's just been hitting. So his focus is more so on hitting right now, but for him to put up 50 home runs against some of the best players in the world from that distance and to do it how he's doing it, how quickly he's doing it, it's just unheard of. Like it's something like we're truly witnessing history, just him as a player. And being a Dodgers fan, it's amazing because I feel like he can get us over the hump. Obviously, there's still a lot of injuries pitching wise, but for home run perspective, it's just so hard to do what he's doing. And then on top of that, 50 stolen bases. Like it's just so hard, especially with the pitch clock going, how quickly the ball is getting to the catcher. You really got to get a phenomenal jump off first base in order to have that success rate. So it's just something that just unheard of, something that you could never imagine would happen in so many years. And the fact that we're watching it now and that it's only going to continue on getting better, that those numbers are going to keep going up from here on out. Like it's great for the sport and it's great for the younger generation coming up too. I was talking about this the other day. Like the flair that these players have nowadays is what kids want to see. The swag that Jazz is bringing, that Tatis is bringing, that's something that we don't see. And to see two-way players dominating like Ohtani, like now you're gonna start seeing more two-way players in college, more two-way players, obviously in high school, yes, but once college starts coming, you're gonna see a lot more two-way players, and he's definitely changed the game for years to come, and he could be in a Hall of Fame right now, for being honest. So it's definitely fun to watch. And once you get into baseball, you start to appreciate the greatness because of how hard the sport is.
The Steph Curry effect, like changing
Yeah.
the game. You nailed it. That's
Hmm.
what's happening. Thank you. What's happening right now in front of our eyes is this man's changing the game. He's also doing it from the naked eye, what looks so easy.
Yeah.
Rip would agree too. He's seen him in live a couple times. He's going oppo with swings that look so easy. He's stealing these bases that looks kind
Just
of
with
like he's
ease. Yeah.
like Tracy McGrady used to hoop a little bit. Like, how did he get to the hole that quick? But he's there.
Yeah.
That's when a lot of greatness is. Hey, great breakdown. That was really good. Staying with baseball, pitching in particular, we got. And speaking of Shohei, this is from my perspective and a fan's perspective. So this could be dumb. Go with me though. So like especially on TV, it's hard to focus. It seems like as a pitcher, it's hard for me to focus on pitcher catcher from a TV watcher. For me,
Mhm.
the fans behind home plate like are stealing my attention at all times. The signs behind home plate, I don't know if I'm just a sucker, dummy American who's like advertising prone, but they get me every time. I'm like, oh, Joe's Law in St. Louis could be. I wonder what he does. Like I can't focus at all. And then Mo, you have like a couple on their first date. I'm noticing them, or the
Mhm.
one annoying drunk guy who thinks that his hand motions are actually working, like he's doing something to change the game. What are a couple things that a pitcher actually notices? And have you had any distraction stories that actually have worked on you? Because I know y'all are locked in. We know you guys are
Yeah.
locked in. Is any
Yeah.
of this work? Is any distractions affecting you?
Not really. I think it's funny. Especially like when I was pitching, like you could see everything that's going on. But for the professional standpoint, for those guys, like they're making millions of dollars to play well, so they're gonna lock in instantly. For me, it was just like the fun. So like after an inning, I asked my teammates like, "Yo, did you see that guy doing that?" And we started laughing. But we knew once we got on the field, like we had to dial into what was going on. But usually things don't really distract me. I've always been able to just lock in and just focus on what's going on. And I never realized how hard it is when it's so loud in the stadium, how you can truly just hear one voice that you're focusing on. And like if you've never been to Dodger Stadium is packed at all times. Like they hold the attendance record almost every year. And it's a pretty old stadium. It's not as big as other stadiums, but like it gets very, very loud there. And for pitchers to actually like dial in and just listen to their catcher, and it's not even just listening, but you have to have that type of communication, that type of chemistry with your catcher to understand not everything is going to be verbal, that you can do a quick little touch of the mask and that means something. So when I was pitching, my catcher, who's my best friend Scott, he's literally my brother. Like we would go, he would go like this with the glove or something, and that just means, all right, if we're at, first sign is the pitch we're going to throw, flip it. No, second sign is going to be the pitch we throw. And so it throw kids off, and they didn't see that. But we've always been just fans and just students of the game that we can communicate that way. So when you're on the field, you don't really focus on, what's going on in the stands, as much as, focusing on what you need to focus on, which is your teammates on the field and your coaches, because those are the people that matter the most at the time.
Yeah, you're locked in. See, Rip, Clayton Kershaw is not affected by Marlins, man. There's your
No.
answer.
Yeah, no.
Not at all.
He'll see him. He'll see him for sure and might talk about it, but if you've seen Kershaw pitch, when he's locked in, he's locked in.
He's locked in. Yeah, let's hope he stays locked in until he meets my Arizona Diamondbacks right here again. Uh-oh.
No.
Could
No,
happen, Mo.
I think this year we'll be fine.
We'll see. We'll see. Good matchup. Maybe the Phillies even. Let's talk about Philly.
Yeah.
Let's do a game real quick. You're from South Philly. We're going to play How Philly Are You? You ready?
Let's do it.
It seems to be a little bit controversial in South Philly, but what streets does South Philadelphia actually start on? South or Washington?
I'm gonna have to go with South.
I think that's the correct answer. South
I'm
Street.
gonna have to go with South. Yeah.
People like to go on vibes, so they'll say that Washington should be included. Those are the people who want to include the Italian market, though, I think is what's going on.
See, for me, that's all South Philly. Like, that's all South Philly. That's all the places that when I was younger, my cousins and all my friends, like, we would ride bikes all over. And that's all South Philly. So, all the kids around the area, we all knew each other. Like, that huge, that's our neighborhood. So, like, all that to me is considered South Philly. But,
The whole
they're
thing.
trying to change it to, like, Graduate Hospital and everything. But if you were there when we were younger, it's South Philly.
That's how it should be. You go to that Italian market. Is it amazing? It's on my list to visit. It looks unbelievable.
I go with like my parents, but I don't get out the car. I just stay in the car in case we gotta move. There's nowhere to park down there.
There is nowhere to park down there. Maybe to grab a cheesesteak. What are you putting on your cheesesteak when you order it?
I get a little bit of mayo, salt, pepper, ketchup.
Oh, that's not really the fully acceptable answer in Philly. Rip.
I know.
Okay.
It's okay.
Rip, what is the acceptable answer? He's a Pennsylvanian. What is the answer, Rip?
Yeah, no, it's steak, onions, and the whiz is the only
Yeah.
acceptable answer. But I know a lot of people go mayo, so we can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
Sub her in.
I'm not a fan of onions though. I've never been a fan of onions, so I can't do the onions.
Fair. Top 3 favorite Philly athletes of all time, male or female, high school, college, or pro. Go ahead.
Okay. Gotta go with Dawn, obviously.
What posters you have hanging up?
I actually don't have posters. But I'm gonna go with my best friend Scott Bandura and Jared Spriglot because they just got drafted the past 2 years. So I gotta go with them because I've watched them through everything in life, and I know that they have so much in store for them, and I could definitely see them up in the bigs soon. So I gotta go with those 3 for sure.
Let's go. What team does Scott get drafted to? What teams?
Scott's with the Giants and Jared is with the A's.
Cali,
Yeah.
Colin. Let's go.
Mhm.
Probably, it sounds like Mo's gonna be back in Cali after this New York stint. Depends how this IKEA
Yeah.
sponsorship goes. We'll see. Favorite item to buy at Wawa?
Depends on how I'm feeling. Okay. So this summer it's been a slushy. I get a Coke and wild cherry slushy combined. But also the pretzels are phenomenal. And then if we're going food wise, can't go wrong with the quesadilla, can't go wrong with the tenders, can't go wrong with the mac and cheese. And also
Huh.
the sizzlies in the morning are just phenomenal. Like
Oh.
it just depends on how I'm feeling during that time.
That's
Are
the
you a
answer.
coffee drinker? Are you a coffee drinker at all or no?
Nah.
That's that soft pretzel and that wild cherry slushy, right? That's the
Yeah,
South
that's
Philly
that's my
breakfast right there.
go-to. Yeah, honestly.
Rip's getting so excited over there with that. How about just Wawa on your way to a game? Three snacks you're grabbing for a game from at Wawa.
Any type of sports drink, whether it's vitamin water, Gatorade, Powerade. Gotta grab seeds and then probably a pretzel still, because you can never go wrong with eating a pretzel throughout the game.
So good.
IKEA, Wawa. Let's clip these. Rip, get them out right now because we got 6 more months
Yeah,
until
let's do
she's
it.
going pro.
Let's do it.
I'm glad we got that Wawa question and we couldn't talk to you without asking that. But I'm gonna close it out here. We end every interview with the segment we call 1 star to 5 star. We mentioned it. We're the 1 stars. We're trying to get better every day with advice and tips from every guest we have on this podcast, like yourself. So just to close it out, I want to ask you a few questions and they run the gamut on the 1 to 5 star scale here. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
All right, we talked about it. You're a Little League legend. You've even spent some time recently coaching with some MLB youth programs. I'm a 1 star coach of a minor B fall ball team here at Long Beach Little League. I love it. There's 7 and 8 year olds, and there's a certain pureness to kids playing the game in Little League at that age. What's the let's talk. What's the 5 star aspect about Little League from your experience growing up playing that you really look back fondly on today?
I'd say just the memories making with your friends, some of your best friends. I was very fortunate enough to play with the same guys since I was 7 all the way until 2020. So I've had the same group of friends my entire life, and I know they'll stay friends. And at this point, they're family. So the memories that we make every summer playing baseball, because I felt like we spent more time with each other than we did with our own family. So the bond and chemistry that we had was on a completely different level. So definitely the memories, the experiences that we got to have with, with my best friends was definitely 5 star for me.
That's what it's all about. And we know Scott's dad was one of the coaches as well, and like you said, his
Yeah.
family. After all those years, I love to hear that. All right, back to Philly. We know the NBA season's coming up real quick here in a few weeks. The Sixers, let's talk for a second. They've been cycling through superstars for years. I'm just going to read out. We got Jimmy Butler about 5 years ago, James Harden, Embiid, of course, and now Paul George coming over from LA. We love Tyrese Maxey, but nothing is seeming to get the Sixers over the hump. Even in your whole lifetime, they actually haven't won a title since 1983. Let's go. So on a
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 5 stars, how likely is Paul George going to be the one to lead the Sixers to that NBA title?
It's very hard. If you're from Philly, you understand the hardships of Philly teams. I've been at Sixers games since before trusting the process was even a thing.
Yep.
And so it was really bad. I feel like Paul George can help them get over the hump. I feel like they match up better defensively against the Knicks because that was the downfall with letting Jalen Brunson just have his way all, that playoff series. So I do feel like they match up better. And I feel like Paul George is a veteran that can help Tyrese Maxey take his game to the next level, can help Jarrett McCain with his rookie season, Ricky Council with, his rookie season. So I feel like he's a perfect veteran for them. And he also doesn't need to have the ball in his hand at all times. Like when you said when the Sixers had James Harden, he's the type that needs to always have the ball in his hands. And I felt like Tyrese Maxey was being held back because of that. Embiid's Embiid. He's gonna do what he needs to do. It's all about if he stays healthy or not. If Embiid plays how he played in the Olympics, I think that can really help the Sixers in the long run as well. I might have to give it like a 3, 4 star, just because they have a great coach, but the East is so stacked that it's going to be a challenge. You still have Boston still there. You still have Milwaukee still there. You still have the Heat who, they get overlooked all the time, but somehow they're always in the playoffs and always giving these teams a hard playoff series. You still have the Knicks with the addition of Michael Bridges who can hit that three, who can, lock up on defense. And he has his Villanova Wildcat teammates with him as well. So I feel like it's gonna be very tough for the Sixers, but if they lock in and know how to, play defense and finish games out that they should be winning, I think it should be a great season.
That's a great Sixers breakdown. And you mentioned the Heat, one of their main competitors. They got Caleb Martin from them too, who's kind of that
Mm-hmm.
glue guy, so he might be able to
Yeah.
guard Brunson a little bit too. But I love the take. Let's close it out with something we touched on a little bit earlier. You were in the spotlight at 13 years old, such a young age. And I see kids these days playing sports year round, playing multiple sports, putting in work every single day. Parents are spending all kinds of money to make it happen. Through your experience growing up in the limelight and reflecting back on that time, what's the five-star advice you'd give to young athletes today? Maybe something you learned that you'd redo or just take away, something you take away from the whole experience.
5-star advice, I'd probably say keep playing as many sports as you can while you're young. All the way through high school, I played 3 sports. I played basketball, baseball, soccer, and then 10th grade I started softball. So kind of 4 sports, but it truly opens your eyes and you see the game so much differently when you play all those sports. So as a pitcher, you are commanding the field. Everything goes at your pace. I also played midfield and you're controlling the game runs through you. So you got to know how to lead your team to victory. You got to know when to slow the pace down, when to pick it up, read body languages, and knowing when to pick your teammates up. And then basketball being a point guard, it's the same thing. So each sport that I played, I saw the game completely different than other people that, I played against. So I always had the advantage over my competition because I've been able to visualize the sport completely different than others. So never stop playing those sports. And I was very fortunate enough to not have any terrible injuries to where I had to sit out for multiple months or however long. Because when you play these different sports, it requires different muscles to be at work. And so just keep playing different sports because you never know, your mind can change. Like you said, I wanted to be a basketball player growing up, and then I get to high school and basketball's just the love wasn't the same. And I started to love softball more, and that's just where I decided to play in the future. And so you never want to get burnt out from a sport. And when you play one sport year round, that's when the burnout starts to come before, it starts to, get serious. So always do different sports, try out different things. And especially for girls out there, like you don't have to play a sport to be successful in the sports industry. There's so many avenues to go down. There's so many opportunities for women out there in sports. So, just keep going. No, never stop learning anything and, just keep having fun. I feel like that's the big thing as well as the fun's being sucked out of the sports for kids because the parents are so serious about it, but just keep having fun because that's the way that's going to help you have longevity while playing sports.
It's great advice from someone who's been through it and recently. I mean, 23 years old, you're wise beyond your years. Everyone can go follow Monet. It's at MONEE_011 on Instagram. Really, find her these days on LinkedIn, right? Columbia grad coming up here. We wish you the best of luck in the future. We can't wait to see what it holds for you, Monet. Philadelphia always, and thank you for coming on with the One Star Recruits.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Best of luck, Monet, in your future. Not a bad call at all, Rip. Rip Radamus. Rip Radamus. That was a Notre Dame combo that was butchered with language here to start the podcast, Rip. That was pretty bad. But hire this woman for your front office or for your broadcasting department. Nice mix. She knows what she's doing. Another AZ legend passed away this week. Al McCoy, Phoenix Suns greats, the greatest Phoenix Sun. Pretty comfortable saying that confidently. He's going to really get kind of his passing, push me forward into my Suns fanship a little deeper, Rip, because if you're a Dodgers person, Vin Scully means something bigger. If you're a Phoenix Suns person, Al McCoy means something deeper. We really lost one of the greats. Want to do some favorite moments from Al, Rip, but initial thoughts, man.
Yeah, 51 years announcing Suns games is pretty much all you need to say. I mean, just an incredible tenure, and it spanned the careers of some of the greats, Barkley, Nash, now with Devin Booker, and even going back to those guys like Alvin Adams and Walter Davis. He's been there for all of it. So, like you said, kind of one of the voices of our childhood, and just a legend in AZ. So very sad to hear that.
Our whole lives. For me, yeah, UPN 45 on a mini television I used to watch in my parents' room. Al McCoy coming on. My favorite moments, automatically recency biased. comes to mind here, but the 2021 finals run after COVID, after coming off the bubble season and bringing the Valley and downtown Phoenix back to life, like a new Chase Field revamp's going to do. Al being the voice of the Valley for that run too. So many iconic calls, Rip, on that particular run. The beating the Lakers and the Valley oop to Ayton, the biggest moment of Ayton's career ever, and a great call. Such a good call. That was in game 3. Meaningful was when they knocked out the Clippers to get to their first final since 93. That felt good. It's kind of sad thinking, like, shit, I wish we would have got one for Al. You think about that a little bit, Rip, but immediately, Al would have never wanted that to be said in the same thing because it was such a great run. Favorite moment, Rip?
Really, just in general, just even going deeper than the TV on UPM 45 was when people used to listen to games on the radio, man. Just that voice resonating through the radio back when I was 12 years old. What a shot, what a burger. I mean, I've heard it a million times and probably had Whataburger a million times because of it. But yeah, just more generally, just one of the core memories of my childhood right there.
So good. He got to call 7 seconds or less era. Fun, so much fun and enjoyment, I can imagine, for a broadcaster. People who love broadcasting to get an opportunity like that. So that's pretty cool. He popularized the Matrix, one of the better names in NBA history. Good stuff. Just classic charm. Just a good dude. Media royalty. Hell of a guy. Hell of a guy. Switching over to football, Rip. That's a transition for you. I wish I had a better one. I don't. Phoenix Suns, go ahead and do it for Al. That's all I got here. Football. Former one-star recruit. He's on your fantasy lineup. He's been on the podcast. He's on your fantasy lineup. He went to Arizona State University. That's how we'll bring this damn thing together, Rip. Jaden Daniels. He is the truth. He dropped some great passes. He stayed composed. When he ran with purpose. Kind of some of the opposite stuff I talked about from week 1. Has this man arrived? Is this a new quarterbacking era for the Washington Commanders?
Absolutely. I mean, 21 for 23, 91% completion percentage, best single game in rookie history as far as completion percentage. And I'll tell you what, there's more to be unlocked with this guy because I think we have 170-yard rushing performance coming from Jaden. He's capable of it. We saw it in college. It might be as soon as this weekend, DK. You know who they're playing this weekend? You know where?
Hit me.
They're playing at Arizona, where he started his college career. Cardinals have a sieve defense, allowing a lot of rushing yards. I think we could see 150 plus yard rushing performance from JD this weekend in the Valley. Bring it back to where it all began.
Yeah, he's going to be very comfortable coming back here. The defense still very problematic, as we saw. We saw that with our Arizona Cardinals too. What's great, Rip, about this era of football is we knew that going in. What we didn't know is how bad and hard quarterbacking is. And I know we have a lot of young quarterbacks, and maybe this Bryce Young to Andy Dalton change brings us back to life a little bit about how hard quarterbacking is. Let me put it into perspective for you. There's amazing video watching Matthew Stafford make progression reads where the camera's set up behind him. Some things we just don't think about as much. Like I talked to Monet about, they're locked in and they see it. But as a TV watcher and fan watcher, obviously the speed going on. But if you're not like a tall, big human, Rip, that pocket is a death zone. You're dealing with guys who are 270 pounds, 6'6", 6'7", hands up, can jump 40 inches. You don't see that necessarily at the angle that we watch it on TV. It's never been more evident. And the opportunity to tuck and run, get out of pocket, and then make a play is there for these young guys. Not as easy as it is in college football, though. And we're seeing it. And if you make a mistake in that second level or that third level in those moments of panic, NFL teams will make you pay for it. Long-winded way of just saying, though, more touchdowns, please. Like, thank you to the Commanders and the Bengals. Bad defenses, though. More touchdowns, please. I'm talking to you, Caleb Williams. Same issues, though. Kyler Murray. Remember how excited I was, Rip, last week? I'm down to about 75%. I've turned it down to about 75% excitement, being reminded that the dude is 5'10". Like, it's going to be, he's 5'10". He's not Josh Allen. And it's a different type of football with those guys who are now the only guys at quarterback who can really get it done consistently. Am I rambling too much? This is incredibly frustrating situation for football fans. Either the NFL just hasn't got it going at the speed that I want it to go to, or the game's changing and adjusting a little bit, and I don't like it as much.
You're definitely rambling. You sound like a disgruntled fantasy football owner who's probably 1-2 right now. I see what you're saying, and it's worth bringing up. Quarterback, probably the most difficult position in all of sports. But it's like they say, don't get too high with the highs, don't get too low with the lows. I'm giving you some coach speak, DK. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't give up on your squad after 3 weeks. Don't give up on Kyler. Don't give up on Joseph Burrow. It's a long season, DK.
The hardest position. One-star moments of the week, Rip. What do you have? We all have them. Not everybody talks about them. Go ahead.
I'm sticking with the NFL theme. We're doing some NFL talk. We all know it's been a crazy year so far for NFL upsets, parity. I mean, it always is, right? It always is. But this year feels like one of the crazier ones. And yeah, me and both my kids already eliminated from a big survivor pool by week 3. One of my kids was eliminated in the first week. Me and the other one just got eliminated last week. It was a huge one. We could have won, I think, $5,500. It went from 500 people down to like 30 after week 3. It's incredible, but I was part of the carnage. Went with the Bengals last night, and then my other son went with the Browns, who took one on the chin. So one-star moment of the week, just being out of Survivor after week 3. It's a weird feeling.
Was that a Deshaun Watson double entendre you tried to make on the chin, or no? That was too much. That's too deep. You can't. Everybody's losing to teams that they should. This is throw it out the window. This is a disgruntled 1-2 fantasy football owner who wants to throw it out the window and let's start over. DeAndre Swift, just hit the hole. Stop dancing. Let's throw the ball up. Mr. Pittman, you're healthy again in Indiana. Should show up. I'm just talking to my squad now, Rip, what we're doing here. One-star moment for me. Obviously, Al McCoy passing away is going to lead the top there. And we'll give him a Shazam, a Zingo the strings. But my one-star moment belongs to you, John Fisher. You can go eat a fat ass. John Fisher, last game was played at Oakland Coliseum. You're just really the worst ever. He sent a final letter, a fan goodbye letter, if you will, Rip, to the Oakland fans. This is like just the worst, your worst nightmare of an owner sending you a letter like, oh my God, this guy. But of course it has a typo. Has a typo in it. There was an E except for after C, rule of grammar going on that was ignored in a couple of these letters. And it was just an added disrespect from John Fisher to Oakland, to the East Bay. Fuck off. It was a good run. There's a hat that I saw floating around the internet that says ASSSSS, A's, but obviously ass. Go support that. And I guess good luck to the organization and the people who are going to stick through this in their move to a smaller building, like Rip said, with probably a cool VR lounge and a wine tasting room. What else, Rip? It's going to be a donut place in that stadium? Give me a good idea so I can move on and close up this one-star moment. Give me one good idea.
Pink Box, man, it's already in Allegiant. Every time I've been to a Pink Box, there's a line of like 20 people. You saw it a few weeks ago in sorry ass Laughlin. There's 100 people lined up to get those donuts. Put it inside that A's stadium.
Yeah, a partnership episode from heaven. Like usually we say one-star things consistently. Really we've hit 5 or 6 5-star ideas that could be monetizable fairly easy. If you any value for people out there in the sports business who monetize from Rip's genius ideas, give us 5 stars. Just give us 5 stars. That's the repay. It's really easy. 1-star recommendations of the week. Let's recommend something on the flip side, from bad to good. Dude, for me, my recommendation is my favorite part of my day. It has been for years now. It's doubled down as my favorite part of the day since I moved to the south side of Kauai. Hawaiian coffee. It's just amazing. In particular, Kauai coffee, and I like Kona coffee roasters. You can find those at any of your grocery stores on the mainland as well. Kauai coffee and Kona coffee roasters, but I want to let it be known. A law has just been passed, and I want to let it be known to all coffee drinkers out there too that if you think you're drinking Hawaii coffee, just read the label closely. A law has just been passed that 51% to call yourself Kona coffee has to be produced there now. New law. Really what's happening is coffees from all around the world is getting mixed in with 10% Hawaiian coffee beans, which come from volcanoes and beautiful stuff on the island here that can't be found anywhere else on the earth. And they're getting mixed together. That's why you're seeing Hawaiian coffee rip for $8.99. $10.99. The Kona coffee that I'm talking about on my magical mornings of happiness for me, making my little double 2 cups of coffee, just big smile on my face here, is the Kona coffee and the Kauai coffee roasters that cost about $28. And you got to pay up for the good stuff. That's how it is in life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sorry. Still cheaper than Starbucks every day. Okay?
You get what you pay for? That's what you're saying?
You get what you pay for. Real coffee. So just read it. The 100% Kona coffee. Don't freak out at 21, 22 bucks. I know you're still buying beef jerky bags for $26.50. Everything's more expensive, but you're supporting a really amazing culture here, and it's a different coffee experience, especially if you want to get the Aloha spirit going. So maybe you switch it up. You say, DK's dumb. I don't even like Hawaiian. Maybe Aloha Fridays, you do a little bit of Hawaiian coffee and switch it up. Have a musubi and a Hawaiian coffee and just take your mind out of the hellhole that is Mesa, Arizona or Canyon Country. Okay, Rip?
Gilbert, Arizona. Edit that out. All right, but mine, DK. Actually, this is my quickest wreck of the week ever. I'm just gonna say a statement, give you some life advice, and let you react to it. You ready?
Ready.
It's very short, DK. Never miss a wedding or a funeral. That's it. What are your thoughts about that?
As a 43-year-old man, I've missed both and regret missing every single one of them that I have missed. And I wish if I can go back in time, I would have attended them. Agree.
100%. That's my thoughts exactly. I just accepted an invite for a wedding on October 12th. Blowing by. I'm gonna miss an actual Little League game for it, and yeah, but that's it. It's words to live by, and like you said, everyone you miss, you regret. So just take it to heart. Never miss a wedding.
It's a good life lesson, and a lot of times it's like I don't have money. It's too far away. I don't have a date. All those things are meaningless. 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30 years later. Onward. 1-star Rex and life advice combo. Rip reacts. Hit the music. $104 million. Rip, that is the amount Nike paid to outgoing CEO John Donahue through his 5-year term. See ya. Here's $104 million. His replacement is a guy named Elliot Hill who actually started as an intern back at Nike back in the day. Stocks are way up. $104 million is transferred to your account, Rip. After taxes, $52.6 million sitting in your account. What's your first big purchase over $100K?
Man, that's generational wealth. I think my first big purchase, selfishly, would be a vacation home, probably in Hawaii or somewhere along the ocean in Oregon, possibly. Like just a nice big house with all the fixtures and swimming pools and slides and tennis court, pickleball court, all that stuff. I'm being a little selfish today.
All the fixins in Oregon. I've never even heard you say that I've known you for 30 years. I've never heard you say Oregon, coastal Oregon ever in a house with all the fixins. Sweet Lord.
You said Nike. I had to go to Oregon. Come on.
Okay. Well, I was just using the money to frame $100 million, but get ripping the fucking Goonies house. Learn something every day, man. Get in that house that DeAndre Ayton couldn't show up for practice because his driveway was too icy. Let's buy that thing, too. Give it to us. We'll take it all. Chicago White Sox, man, last week they lost their 120th Game of the season. So this is tying the 1962 Mets for the most losses in the modern era. It broke the Tigers record. This is the worst baseball team ever. Rip. Opportunity alert. If the White Sox come back this year to Anaheim, take your little league team there. What lessons can you teach the youngsters from losing 120?
Man, that's got to be a tough gig to be. I believe their manager got fired, but over and over trying to pump your team up after that many losses. I mean, really, you got to go. If you're trying to be positive, it's really, you can only go up from here, right? Like literally, you can only go up. It's the worst season in MLB history. So I think you got to hammer that home. And honestly, like I read quite a bit about this. I didn't even know, but this guy, I think it's Jerry Reinsdorf, who we knew way back from the Chicago Bulls days, is still the owner of that franchise. That's a problem. The guy's almost 90 years old. He's living in the past. He doesn't even deal with analytics or any of the modern baseball theories. So I think he's really dug a deep hole for that franchise. It's gonna be a long time before they come back.
Another team that is having major stadium issues too, and harder to do stadium stuff when your team sucks this bad, dude. They want to pursue a new stadium closer to downtown Chicago. A little initiative in collaboration with the Bears that's falling apart. When your product's really shitty, nobody wants to participate, but also time to buy low stock too in the squad. I don't know how you would even do that in baseball, but Godspeed. Rip, the Sunday's game between the Panthers and the Raiders was the first time two NFL teams had female presidents, and they faced off together, which is amazing, historic, super cool. Give one compliment to your wife that she did this week live on our podcast.
She's really good, DK, with meal planning, and she orders all these Sunbasket meals and every place and has it all lined up, so I don't have to think about what to do for dinner a lot. We kind of already have it planned out. So she's a great organizer, and that's a wonderful quality to have in a partner.
My wife and Kimmy, happy birthday. Great birthday, a phenomenal year. So proud of everything that you've done. Shout out to all of our wives, all of our ladies, all the women in our lives doing amazing things. Last one, Rip. Last one. Two most expensive college football games over the weekend. Oklahoma, Tennessee. Sooners, first SEC game. It was a big one. Big time game. Rip, what college football team after the first couple weeks are you most excited to see play on Saturday?
I mean, you mentioned it right there. It's got to be Tennessee. And you talked about the most expensive. They got to pay that quarterback, Nico Iamaleava from Southern California here. They got to pay that guy's NIL salary. So no wonder it's expensive. I know the game was at Oklahoma, but that was a big win for them. They kind of announced themselves. You see Peyton Manning come out in his full uniform at the Morgan Wallen concert. When stuff like that's happening, you know Tennessee football is back. Do you regret pissing on Neyland Stadium back in 1999?
Don't put that on tape, bro. T. Martin did that to us. We were upset. We were having a hard time, man. We were having a hard time with Tennessee being successful, but holy shit, they're back. Probably some of the better colors, I think, except for the polo shirt stuff. I got a problem with all the polo shirts as you got to do a jersey tee. We're Jersey Tee Podcast, 500level.com. Discount code. Say it for him, Rip.
DK and RIP. DKANDRIP. Let's go.
Let's go. We'll see you next week. Savannah Bananas finished their sold-out tour real fast. They brought out Ryan Howard, Rip. They brought out Ryan Howard in Philadelphia to finish up their first season tour. Was it a success?
Absolutely. 45,000 fans at Citizens Bank Park. Got a Philly legend out there like Monet Davis. If she had had Monet throughout the first pitch, it would have been even better.
Get to the Italian market in Philly. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.